Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the suspension setup that I use on all three of my trucks. So because all three trucks generally use the same setup, I'm going to use Special K to point at and for demonstration purposes because all the components are a little more exposed. So all three trucks are 4-linked droop setup. And what that means is that at rest, the suspension is fully compressed or nearly fully compressed. There's maybe 10 or 15% compression in the rear on Special K and the deadbolt, and full droop on the back of Remy. In this setup, the shocks basically act as your travel limiters because they don't actually provide much dampening. Kind of along those same lines, what shocks you use I really don't think matter all that much as long as they don't bind. That's why I'm not really a fan of the double barrel style or telescoping style shocks, because that can introduce binding. And in order to get them to not bind, they need to be all in the same plane. Like I don't run them angled in at all. They're just kind of all in the same plane, and to do that I use little spacers like that, whether you just stick some washers in there, or I like to use the stainless little tiny nuts from Mofo RC. They work really well for spacing those out and getting them the right width to keep everything from binding. Also on all three, the front axle is kind of in what I'd call an equilibrium state, to where it doesn't just drop out fully. It's still got some droop, but the axle is kind of held up by hair bands. And these are the ones I use. They come 3 different sizes in the pack. As you can see, there's a ton of them, so if you lose or break them, they're easy to replace, and that whole package is only a couple bucks. So one last thing to consider when you run a setup like this is component clearance, and for that I'll bring up Remy and the deadbolt and kind of show you underneath. Everything can get really tight whenever you try and get the chassis as low as possible. As you can see here, it's all packaged pretty tightly, but everything clears. Like the ESC tray to servo clearance is pretty minimal. And even on Remy, it's kind of hard to tell, but let's see if you can see better on this side. I've had to clearance this upper link for motor clearance. Just that little notch out right there. Thanks for watching, guys. If there's something you see that I missed, or if you have any questions, just leave me a comment and I'd be happy to answer it. So we'll see you next time.